Time now to talk about what's in the newspapers, but don't go away yet because the signal band is back anytime soon. The Finder this morning says ICT is the anchor of New Ghana. Dr. Baumia tells Ghanaian technology experts working at Silicon Valley. And Ghana to launch first exploration licensing round in fourth quarter. That's according to Deputy Minister of Energy. FDA, we're told, has seized 4,000 packs of tramadol in the Ashanti region, and political parties to lead education on MMDC's elections. The Independent says Akufo-Addo lauded for suspending Deputy Sports Minister, and that story gets a lot of coverage on the newspapers. The Times has it too. Acting DG of the National Sports Council, we're told, suspended 3 officials recalled. And the Daily Graphic has the tramadol story. We're told that tramadol sold near senior high schools seized. Those are some of the newspapers I have this morning. My guest to do the talking, Member of Parliament for the Tamale North constituency, a member of the NDC, Honorable Alhaji Suyuni is here. Good morning.
Good morning, boss.
Hope you're doing great.
By His grace, I'm tired.
Thanks so much for your time. And I also have here a member of government communication to Mohammed Abdul Kudus. Good morning, too.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing great.
God willing.
Thanks for your time with us. Now, let's start with this conversation. The Independent puts it, Akufo-Addo lauded for suspending Deputy Sports Minister. The Times says that Commonwealth visa scandal, Deputy Minister, Acting DG NSA, suspended 3 top officials, recalled. And Times story is on page 16, and it says that the President has suspended Deputy Minister for Youth and Sports, Pius Ajide, Acting Director General of the National Sports Council, with immediate effect. Now, the statement which was signed by the Director of Communications, Mr. Ejunahin, said the decision followed investigations conducted by the CID into circumstances that led to the arrest of 60 Ghanaians who allegedly attempted to enter Australia for the games by false pretense. The Independent says Akufo-Addo lauded for suspending Deputy Minister. Let me read that story to you. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's action on issues relating to Ghana's participation in the ongoing Commonwealth Games in Australia is commendable. Professor Kukwasari, a United States-based Ghanaian professor, said. Now, he is suggesting that in a Facebook page, that's where he put it, the president's swift action on the Australia 60 is very commendable. That's the story in the Independent. Kudus, let me start the conversation with you. So, the suspension of the officials involved in this, and we're told the investigations are ongoing. We have a similar incident that happened in Brazil with some issues with participation at the World Cup. Now, is the president suspension a way to get to the bottom of it?
Thank you very much. Let me say good morning to you. Good morning to my friend and brother, Suyini, and good morning to your cherished and wonderful viewers. I think that without doubt, the issue of Australia has brought an untold embarrassment to all of us as Ghanaians. This certainly holds to the foreign relations that we have with countries, not to talk of the fact that it's just sporting activity. And I think that it is becoming one too many. We heard a lot in the, the soccer and organization of football across the international tournaments. Now we're reading in issues relating to athletics, and I think that everybody would concede that indeed it brought a certain unexpected embarrassment to us. So how should government go about it, and what ought to really be the way forward? I think that everybody called for investigation. People called for appropriate punishment of anybody who would actually be found culpable. And I believe the way to go is how government has decided to start with it. First of all, people are within the control of government in all of these things. And one is the Deputy Sports Minister, who acts in the stead and at the pledge of the President, and the acting Chief Executive for Sports Authority. And so government feels that, okay, these are people immediately within my control. So it is only important that government is able to take this particular action. The rest who have actually been called to aid in the investigation, if you realize their appointment of positions have actually not been directly related to government. Take the GOC, for example, is virtually a limited private organization whose membership are determined by some electoral processes, not controlled by government. So government cannot directly just say that you're suspended, but government can certainly call you because of the governmental involvement in the organization of all of this. So I think that is good, and it ought to really be commended. We kind of are having a certain departure from the past, where most of the time issues of this nature are reported, people are called to the presidency and probably reassigned. It doesn't send the signal and message of the seriousness of authority, okay, towards wrongdoing. Some of these things, yes, I think that we would certainly have to really put it in perspective that this is not a conclusion. It is only a beginning of the process. So Pius has not actually been determined to be guilty. It is only a process of the investigation, as it were, to unravel the issues and get to the bottom of the whole issue. So I think that is good, and it is in the appropriate context that government is actually being lauded. We only pray and hope that at least we'll get that particular speed so people don't lose sight of the investigation, and we'll get a proper conclusion so we can have a lesson to be learned out of it. So we would have a departure when going into future organizations of this particular things. Like I said, you probably would see it as sports related, but it has bearing on international relationship among countries, okay? Because the next time there could be a suspicion of Suhuyini, for example, on his way to Australia, whether he's the real Suhuyini or an impersonated Suhuyini. So it is important that matters of this nature are handled with the seriousness that it deserves. And I think that we can't but have to just praise government that it has started well, and we hope that it would actually end well.
I see. Before I go to Suhuyini, you mentioned the fact that the persons involved, you said government has direct control over them. Now, could national security have been added to this brouhaha? And is national security indeed the institution that can really investigate this?
I think that is, but for our politics and probably our politics, okay, the respect of our institutions should actually be there until and unless there is something that is convincing that something is untoward or something is not being done right, then we can raise the doubt. Okay?
Could these 50 persons have gone to Australia or have been given the clearance to travel without national security's
no, absolutely, absolutely.
Input?
Absolutely. If you know how this organization is done, okay, the local federations of sports organizations are the link, okay, to the international bodies in some of this. And so in the case of these Commonwealth Games, it is the Ghana Olympic Committee, like I said, which is a privately managed and run organization that is directly involved. They give the accreditation, the visas and everything, application is done through them, particularly for the athletes and the officials. It has nothing directly to do with government. Government would only have to come in because there's a certain coordination that government has to do through the sports ministry, okay? But the nitty-gritties in all of these things are handled by the Olympic Committee, which is the local partner to the international body. Okay, so they process all of these things, and it's done long before the event itself. Okay, sometimes it could take a year. In this organization, you give a preliminary list of people that you think that are going to be representing your country in all of the disciplines. Closer to the event itself, probably for want of funds, disciplines could actually be cut. Number of athletes who are actually being sent can equally be cut. So the local organization committee is the one that is directly involved. Okay. In the case of Pius, for example, he coordinates, he chairs the coordination of all of this, and probably that is why in the wisdom of government there is the need to ask him to step aside, since he'll be part of the investigative processes. So I think that let's commend government. It is too early to want to read some unnecessary politics into it. I heard from the beginning, my brother said actually questioning why national security should be involved in this. And I think that sometimes we would have to have a better appreciation of the scope of national security. Okay, it is not just a certain individual politically appointed to do. It is a whole establishment. Okay, and our security hinges on how they're able to do their work. So if it is for purposes of politics, we want to always run down institutions. We're not helping ourselves.
But it is amazing how national security can clear an impersonator to travel on the ticket of Ghana. That's not.
No, that is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. It had nothing to do with national security.
It had to do with those who travel.
Not at all. If you listen to the chairman of the Ghana Olympic Committee, he said that he takes absolute responsibility because he believes they actually took their eyes off the management. That is why he said just this morning, driving to your studio, I heard him speak on one or two radio stations, and he actually accepts responsibility.
Okay, I'm grateful. Let me go to Sweeney. But Sweeney, the minority indeed questioned why national security involvement. Now, the president's suspension of the deputy minister and those involved in the whole process, perhaps is it the beginning of a proper investigations?
Well, once again, good morning to you. Good morning to Kudus. It's good to have him share this platform. It's also refreshing to be here. Let me say good morning to our viewers as well, especially from my constituency, Tamale North. And let me start by saying that as much as this whole episode is embarrassing, it is also laughable. I followed some of the reports that suggested that in one instance, a contingent that was supposed to be a disability contingent made up of people who were dumb started singing and dancing when they arrived at the place. You also will have followed the reports that suggested that about 50 people were presented as journalists when indeed they could not even tell who the president of the GFA is or GOC, and could not even write their own names. Just so embarrassing. And this is one other international embarrassment in our trophy board. I mean, if we have a board that displays our trophies, this is another international embarrassment that can be pinned on that board. And it's not something that any Ghanaian should be very happy about. And I think that the government handling of this so far has not been very impressive. I see some hasty attempts at heaping praises on the president for suspending the deputy minister and two others. I wonder why that should attract such hasty commendations when this matter has, been with us for over a week now without the president or any member of government making a very strong statement on it. And if you have listened to the Deputy Minister of Sports, very confident that he will be cleared and reinstated. If you have listened to the other officers, speak of their innocence and how they are very confident that they will be cleared, you may be tempted to believe that if they are not only confident about their innocence, they possibly are also confident in the ability of the president and his government to always clear his appointees. We have a record of that. So
even before the investigations
there are two things.
Concluded?
You see, there are two things involved. They are either confident that they will be reinstated because they believe in their innocence, or they are confident in the ability of their president, who has cleared worse cases in the past, to clear them. So I really,
Worst cases.
yes. I mean, for example,
well, that's what he thinks.
For example, I'll give you an example. In this particular case, we are yet to hear allegations of any suspected loss of state funds. Allegations of suspected loss of state funds. All we know is about visa racketeering, and maybe some people may have benefited through that by way of fleecing maybe these people who were bent on traveling abroad. But we have not yet listened to any report that suggested loss of state funds, unless it eventually the investigation eventually reveals that these 50 people were actually sponsored by the state. And I suspect they were. About 50 of them, if they are going as journalists, they would have been sponsored by the state. And so the question of, prudent use of state resource can come in. But we have cases like the Bost scandal. In fact, the Bost scandals. Now there are two. Do you get it? And you have clearance from national security.
The Bost generated scandals.
The Bost scandals.
The actual scandals.
Do you get it? Is it we have the bond scandal.
Which is the bond scandal?
You know, that's the Kudus. I think I could have interjected.
Kudus, you allow him.
Okay. Thank you. So I mean, the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice is in court today. If there was no scandal uncovered by Shraj, I don't think the finance minister would have bothered to go to court.
So it is not an allegation, that's what you mean?
No, the report is there. The report is being challenged in court.
Right, so
the report is there that indeed some wrongdoing or possible wrongdoing may have taken place. The report is there, so it's a scandal. So I'm saying that, but in all these cases, in fact, what the president has done after all these things, were discussed and thoroughly examined, went to Parliament House in his State of the Nation address to flow them funds, like we say in our colloquial language, and to describe them as assets to the nation. So I'm saying it's too early. If the president says I've suspended the people, and the people are saying we are confident we are coming back, and you have this history of, the man who is, doing the suspension, why are you in a hurry to think that anything good is going to come out of this investigation? Then again, I wonder why it is just the deputy minister and not the minister. You're talking about the Minister of Sports, and you're talking about collective responsibility, and you're talking about the head of the ministry. Are you saying that all these things happened because, on the blind side of the minister?
Could you say he chairs that coordinating committee?
Fantastic, fantastic. So he chairs it. Right. So he has oversight. Right. Fantastic. He has also provided a delegatus non protest delegari. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
So if it was a delegated authority,
right,
he cannot be held wholly responsible for everything that goes wrong.
He has not been held wholly responsible.
Yes, he's been suspended.
He's the only one suspended.
So he should have,
the substantive.
Exactly, the substantive should have been suspended with him because he delegated. And I just told you, delegatus non-protest delegari. Once he was delegated, if he didn't do anything wrong, as a chairman, and it's just because it was his responsibility, then you don't have to discipline him in the manner that you have. You don't have to. But if you say because he was a chairman and maybe he didn't do anything wrong, but who owns the ministry? So you can say that the ministry is also, someone is in charge of the ministry. So you don't have to suspend the minister too because he has necessarily done something wrong, but because he was also supposed to oversee the activities of the ministry, if that is the argument you are making. So I'm saying that, look, I still do not understand why some so-called, neutral voices, even though some of us know they are not, are in that hurry, as usual, to commend the president for no results achieved yet. Because this is a normal procedure that, one expects any leader to take anyway. Oh. And that has been done, over the years.
Really?
Once there is an allegation of wrongdoing, you either ask the person to step aside for investigations to commence, or you commence investigation even with the person at post. And when the results show that the person I mean, at least if you get, what do you call it, prima facie case, then you proceed with further action. And that is why we in the minority are saying that there's a blueprint. Let's, you know, take this out of the arena where there will be possible suspicion of some underhand dealings to clear the names of these people involved, as we have witnessed in the past, and do a bipartisan, you know, inquiry into this matter and make it public. Even if we cannot do a bipartisan investigation into it, let the president appoint people of integrity, like we have witnessed before in this country, to sit openly in the public and invite all these people for the Ghanaian people to know what really, really happened in Gold Coast.
Okay.
That is the blueprint. That is how to fight corruption. Throw light on it and let everybody know what really happened. And at the end of the day, the remedial actions that will be taken can be taken and should be taken, so that the people of Ghana will see that indeed you have a leader who is ready to bite the bullet and who is not ready to shield any wrongdoing or any of his appointees if they are culpable of any wrongdoing.
All right, I'm grateful.
Can I make a quick one? Or
a quick one, just about 2 minutes.
Yes. You know, he created a certain scenario that is absurd, and I'll point it out.
Quickly.
You see, he said that why Pius and not the minister? If you overstretch his position, it could actually equally mean that why Pius, not the president? Because
that's fine. That's
so
fine,
the
but
president should have been suspended.
The president is responsible for this because he appointed them.
There are rules and responsibilities, okay? The minister sits in chair over the whole of the ministry.
Right.
But there are related activities within the ministry. So as and when he decides who to chair a particular occasion or activity, anything that comes out of the organization, the person delegated ought to be answering.
So he gets report.
Oh yes, so this is part of the processes of actually getting. Mind you, this is not a disciplinary procedure.
What do you mean is that he can't obstruct investigations?
Absolutely, because he had nothing to do with the organization. His deputy was in charge. His deputy is being.
He had nothing to do. He would have been from time
the
to
deputy
time.
is the chair of the organization.
Even if
the deputy is the. If you're talking about,
your point
is he negligent?
Because
is he a negligent minister?
Absolutely not. But look, he has created a certain platform. I don't know whether you've realized the platform he's creating. He's creating a basis that if the investigation doesn't come out with the results that they expect, they will throw it away.
What do you think they expect? What result do you think they expect?
Oh, they expect nothing but something that would incriminate a politician related to the government. Because like I said, if you know the organization, you realize that Ghana Olympic Committee is distinct from government.
But what result do you expect?
Oh, nothing but fairness.
Okay.
Nothing but fairness.
I'm okay with that. Let me touch on this story quickly. Now, Times has a story here. Now, former Trade and Industry Minister Dr. Kwasi Gabra has stated that the much-touted unity work by the NDC has not achieved its intended purpose. The largest opposition party embarked on the work after its defeat in the 2016 general elections. Now, some party executives and ex-President Mahama have been addressing the gatherings. It is seen as one of the main activities to help reorganize the NDC and unify the grassroots of the party to help recapture power. Now, after Dr. Spio Gabra's interview on TV3, the national organizer of the party, Kofi Adams, has hit back at Dr. Spio Gabra, describing his claim as false. He says that he thinks it is false, and I've told these groups many times that they should not stop. They should stop peddling falsehood. The fact is that it is not being financed by the national headquarters doesn't mean it is not a party program. He goes on to say that in the past, some supporters of another flag bearer aspirant have raised concerns about the party's refusal to allow flag bearer hopefuls to address supporters. Alhaji Sweeney, let me quickly come to you. Now, Dr. Spio Gabra says that the unity works are not unifying. Kofi Adams says it is not the case. What do you think?
Well, maybe before I comment on that, just a little residual matter on this previous discussion we just had. We have heard from the reports from the media that indeed 2 lists went to the embassy for visas.
The visas, right.
One from the Ghana Olympic Committee and the other from the Ministry of Sports. So to say that the Ministry of Sports had nothing to do with it, it is solely organized by the Ghana Olympic Committee. It's another reason.
Let's move on.
Wait, let me. Can I finish the sentence? Can I finish the sentence? If you catch me mid, good. So it is. These reports are part of the reasons why there is a need for us to have that bipartisan public inquiry into this matter, so we can establish the truth or otherwise. Now, moving on to the unity works of the NDC. I think we are left with the last one also that is supposed to happen in the Upper East region. I agree with Kofi Adams, and I do so because I have participated in at least 2 of the works, and I also was privy to how even the whole idea of a walk, came about. And if you listen to the former president, John Dramani Mahama, the last time we had the walk in the Upper West region, he commended the party, elders and supporters in the Upper West region for solely financing, that activity that took place in the Upper West region, and indicated that not even a penny came from him or from the party headquarters. And that has been the spirit of these walks. The regions own the walks, and whatever support anybody wants to give is taken with gratitude. And so for me, I find it intriguing that a party vehicle that was put on the road to energize and, bring about some level of confidence in the grassroots is not supported by all, but seen as some, as, a means to deny them their, aspirations of leading the party one day. You see, I had a friend who was a pilot. He told me a story I've not verified about how commanders of the Air Force will command, pilots to fly anytime one aircraft crashes. That anytime there's an accident in the Air Force and a plane crashes, the commander will command the rest of the pilots to fly. And that is a way of bringing about, raising morale, so that the pilots are not, threatened by that accident to lose their confidence to fly. The NDC went into an election very confident of winning in 2016, and the plane crashed, and people were down-spirited. They were indoors and unable to think of the way forward for the party. And in that state, confusion started. The blame game was getting out of hand. The insults on each other and against each other was peaking. From the national to the grassroots, people were blaming each other for whatever reasons. So, some group of people, I must commend here Kojo Bonsu, the former mayor of Kumasi, and our brother Joshua Kamba, who is the deputy national organizer. The two of them didn't just allow the discussion to remain in the group, but decided to move out to do something that will bring our party out. Because remember that even in defeat, the leader of the party, then President Mahama, urge members of the party to walk with their chests out because the party had done well, not only for our democracy, by the way it conceded defeat as an incumbent government, but also by the numerous developments that we have initiated and completed in many cases.
What is the position of the losing candidate when the party is in the position, but per your constitution?
The losing candidate, if he is not a sitting president, becomes one of the Council of Elders, members of the Council of Elders. But if he is if he was a sitting president, apart from being a member of the Council of Elders, he still comes with that image of a former president. And the former president, unfortunately for the NDC, we have two former presidents. So we know the respect and, the approach that we have always used in dealing with our founder and former president.
Are those complaining of not being allowed to address the unity walks making a legitimate complaint?
I don't think so. And I'll say why. Our party has rules and structures. And like I have said, apart from former President Rawlings being our founder, he's also always enjoyed the status as a former president in the party. And our constitution recognizes the role of former ministers and how far they can go. And also, by practice, we recognize the role of former presidents and how far they can go. So, if you have a party program and there is a slot for former presidents to speak, are you going to say that because you suspect that one of the former president, because there's no evidence that the man is going to run again, you just suspect. So are you going to say because you suspect that the man will be your opponent, should there be a race, when the man is given a responsibility to discharge as former president of the party, you should also be given a role? Let's be logical.
I'll come back to you. Let me go to Kudus.
So that's why I think it is not right.
I'll come back to you, Honorable Suhuyini. Kudus, the NDC unity works and what it is bringing out as far as the unity of the party is concerned. What is your take on the fact that some party supporters are insisting that this unity works is indeed not uniting the party?
Thank you very much. I think, first of all, it is even the paradox that intrigues me. Frankly, this is a party that touted so much of unity and cohesion just about 2 years ago. Today, they are all over trying to unite in some working activity. That's the paradox. But I think that it is an open secret that it is a certain Muhammad campaign agenda. Okay, absolutely. I'm not saying it. Their own party people have said it. Dr. Ekos Pirogabra is not the first person to say that. Indeed, Honorable Bagwin has equally had the opportunity to lament, okay, on the same issue. So it certainly cannot be the thinking or a certain sour grapes of some individuals within their party, but probably a genuine concern. And I think that NDC and John Mahama increasingly have developed a certain penchant for not listening to good counsel, okay? And I think that the way they actually lost the election in 2016 ought to be a certain signal and message, but obviously they're not listening. And so they are equally heading to a certain a wall again if John is actually re-elected, okay, or put together again as the candidate for the party in the 2020 election. Currently, it is not in that at all that if they go for primaries, John would win. Why? Because he still controls a lot of the pairs, he still controls a lot of the constituencies. And some of these executives, including the Asediun KTS, okay, are trying to use his image to organize their election and still be relevant within the executive structure of the party. So what is happening is not necessarily, as Suhuyini put it, to really awaken the morale and confidence of the rank and file. Absolutely
So
not
you're
at all.
a party member, but you know why we do what
Well,
we do.
that is his view.
NDC is a public property. NDC is a public property. It's a public property. Okay, your activities are out there,
But
reflective in the mirror.
I don't blame
Oh,
him. I blame our
he
party
has-
members who listen to their advice and they are thinking more than they listen to party members. So when they do the analysis and create that there's something in the soup, then some of our party members will also believe them instead of believing the party members themselves. What
No,
is-
because the party member like
ridiculous.
you is speaking against it.
It's
Of course,
ridiculous.
Gabra is equally in good standing just as you.
No,
So
he's in a better standing than I am.
fine. So yours
An
can be
elder of the
sacrosanct away from his. Okay. So if you agree that he probably holds a certain pedigree within the party than you, then the believability in what he says will be higher than yours. Okay. And he's complaining. He's saying that this is a charade. Okay, it is not actually giving an equal and even platform to anybody and everybody within the party who aspires. The fact that John wants to come out and contest is not in doubt. You remember immediately after
Even though
they
he has
lost
not
it-
said anything.
Oh, why? I think, look, there are certain trajectories that can actually lead you to a certain conclusion. You don't need somebody to come and tell you that there is a C after B, okay? In the recitation of the alphabets, A, B certainly follows with C. If you remember, just after they lost election, the brother, Ibrahim Mama, told the whole world that his brother is going to retire and would not be contesting the next election. It took Omani Buama, who is a kingpin, who is actually a critical part of the inner core of President Mahama, to come and say that he cannot decide for their party. John never spoke to it. In fact, I don't blame, and I'm not too surprised of the silence of ex-president John Mahama, because in his own book, he actually told us, you remember that book, My Fair Coup d'Etat, he told us that decision is actually a very difficult thing for him to take most of the time. So in issues of this nature, you will not be surprised if he's not speaking to it. But like I said, Ekos Piographer is not the person to have started this complaint. Bagwin has done that. Stephen Atubiga, if you remember, said same and said that even on platforms you are muscled. If you decide to dare the consequences and appear, you are not given the opportunity to speak. And somehow in the hierarchy of the organization, the most important person normally speaks last. And John Mahama is normally the person who comes to wind up in the discussion. Meanwhile, he's not supposed to be he's former president, but he's not the leader. You are talking here of an equal opportunity for all. In the practice of equal opportunity for all, there's no primus inter pares. Okay? Everybody must be treated equally and same. But if you now have, because of his status, you certainly are giving him a certain advantage over the rest, which shouldn't be so. And that is why Dr. Kospio Kapra is complaining. In fact, I listened to Honorable Nia Masana Mwale. He equally complained bitterly about this and called it a charade. And that is why I'm saying that there's a certain paradox in all of this. There's in fact a manifestation of a gargantuan confusion in the camp of the NDC. It is not in doubt. It is
I'm
not
grateful.
in doubt.
Right. Good and I'm grateful.
Right.
Let me get you to react for 2 minutes, then we'll move on to this.
Here's a quick one. You see, my brother was talking about unity. Unity is not a fixed state. Unity is, when you talk about unity, it's fluid. It gets stronger, it gets weaker.
Okay.
So you go into an election with a united front. You lose the election and the bitterness of the loss threatens to create disunity in the party. And you begin a walk to strengthen the unity that already exists. What is so difficult to understand about that? Can I move on? Now, now, the truth of the matter is that, right, the former president, hate him or love him, is still very popular with our grassroots. And so at these walks, when you find people, even in Honorable Alban Bagbin's t-shirts, chanting his name, you can't blame him. Because in WA, people were part of the walk in Honorable Alban Bagbin's t-shirt. Nobody stopped them from walking. Again, if you go to the Greater Accra region where we had our walk, I saw many of the people who want to be aspirants. And I want to assure my brother today that I want to assure you. I want to assure you.
You said I'm not part of you.
You see, And anybody who thinks that there is, that I will agree with him, I want to assure him that I'll agree with him. And anybody who expresses the issue, who expresses concern about disparity in the treatment of aspirants.
Great.
When the party opens nominations or declares, and President Mahama declares to also become an aspirant, and he is treated differently by the party compared to the other aspirants, I'm telling them that I'll agree with them. That is not fair.
Okay.
But until that is done, he remains a former president. And any party activity that allocates a role to a former president, and he is the only one available at that point, he will perform that role. But when we have a program and they say this is for aspirants, and they don't allow aspirants to speak and allow he alone to speak, I will say that is unfair. And I will agree with those who say that
grateful.
It is not fair to treat him differently.
I'm grateful.
If he becomes an aspirant, he must be treated.
Can I provide you this?
No, you don't need to. Let's wrap up quickly on this one. This a young lady's interview with CNN, Moesha's interview, and the issues that are falling out. Now, the Palava newspaper has a story. The economy is so hard. And if you read the story, it says that she said that, and she told Christian Amampo, you can't even make enough money as a woman here, because even if you want to get an apartment in Ghana, you pay 2 years in advance. And I just started work. Where will I get money to pay for an apartment for 2 years? The Finder has a story that says that the economy grew 8.5% in 2017. Now, the quick question to ask, Kudus, let me start this conversation with you, is to this issue of rent in Ghana, which keeps giving people headache. In fact, students living in hostels are confronted with the same challenge. Moesha has received a lot of bashing for what she said, which might not have gone down well with certain people. Is the issue of rent not the reality?
Yes, the issue of rent indeed is a reality, and I feel sad for it because I think that the limited knowledge I have relative to this suggests that the law actually abhors the collection of rent beyond 6 months. But we know landlords are out there taking 1 year, 2 years, sometimes 3 years. I think that our institutions would have to work, okay? If the law says that you cannot charge or expect more than 6 months, it should actually be applicable. But if you listen to the lady, and that is where I had my greatest disappointment. Yes, I did. I'm told that this is not the first time she's actually making such a position. She did it on another platform. But I thought that on a bigger scale, like CNN, with Christiana Amampo, okay, giving her pedigree and the fact that she has a lot of following, this should not be something that should be told of Ghana. Regrettably, you see Palava having to do politics with it. The lady didn't say economy is so hard. That's not what she said. That's not what she said. That's not what she said. Look, she was speaking to a topic. She was speaking to a topic of the program, okay, that has to do with a woman and how they earn their livings and the reasons for which they go into relationships. That's why she talked about people who would take care of her rent because she will not be able to pay 2 years given where she works. People who probably be able to give a car to facilitate the transportation and those things. Those who have to take care of her parents and those things. She did not specifically talk about the economy. Not at all. She was speaking to a certain topic presented to her, and I felt that was absolutely unfortunate, because at the time that we expect to have Ghana corporate being sold out there for the collective good of all of us, this is not something that should be speaking up. Okay,
Kudus, I'll come back to you. Let me go to Johnny for some comment. Johnny, good morning once again.
Absolutely, good morning, right. In the UK, Stars officers, a popular celebrity by name Mauricia, having access to a huge international platform of CNN, could have used that to project the image of Ghana, but decided to paint Ghana black. It's very unfortunate, and we shouldn't waste time on her reckless comments. But then are serious issues in Ghana that needs to be discussed. It's her body, and let her do whatever she wants to do with it, and at the judgment day she will give an account to her creator. Good morning to you all. The government needs to put in place some measures that will prevent the youth from the use of tramadol. There are a lot of guys in my area whose lives are now looking miserable due to the use of this tramadol. Please, government should do something. Eric J from WA. Good morning, TV3. Let me be straight here. Ghanaians are hypocrites. Listen, if a lady can actually sleep with a lecturer for marks, why can't the same lady sleep or date to support their lives? Good morning, New Day crew. The FDA has got a big task to perform because the youth nowadays don't even use the 120 milligram tramadol anymore because it does not make them feel dazed. They are now inhaling super glue and solutions to feel dazed. The FDA should look into this matter seriously because the youth are now investing in the wrong projects. Max from Sunyani, thank you very much. Say great day. We love you back. Ayu Farouk in Tamale says, good morning to you all. For me, I don't blame the actress Moesha's views. Ghana's economy is not well. Let's face the facts. This government is trying too hard to scrap single spine salary through hourly calculated salary, as if selling the country for $20 million is not enough for them to chop. Ghanaians are watching with eagle eye. Shaggy Nima sent that one. We'll do the birthday messages later, but it says, well, Keba in Ablekuma says, good morning. I'm congratulating President Akufo-Addo for taking such a bold decision to suspend his own deputy minister. I think if things are done this way and proper investigations are conducted in any of our institutions, it will serve as a deterrent to corrupt-minded people. Honorable Samson Kwachi Bosomtwi Akwadamako says, corruption at the sports ministry is becoming uncontrollable. Thumbs up to the President of the Republic for the suspension at the sports ministry. Thorough investigation and prosecution needs to be done. If necessary, Mr. President, you have really buttressed the adage, charity begins at home. Man of transparency. You say, good morning, TV3, thank you for making my day. Lovely for such a nice tune from Signal Band. Okay, so AU Farouk Tamale says, good morning to you all. The suspension of the deputy sports minister is a simple cover-up tactics to cover the dubious corruption cases engulfed some of his appointees. But this super incompetent act by the president cannot divert our minds from the U.S. military deal. Ghana first demo Tamale loading on the 21st of April. Dr. Abedi Kwadaso, aka Big Joe Shoes, says, good morning, champion host. Thank God Deputy Sports Minister Honorable Pius Hajide and NSA boss Robert Safo-Mensah have been suspended by His Excellency President Akufo-Addo. A giant step towards achieving a Ghana with a nationalistic mindset. Ghana is surely working again. DJ Omale and Wayose Ngoso say, Nana has done well in sacking Honorable Robert Safo-Mensah and Deputy Sports Minister. They've not been sacked, they've been suspended. Unless Mahama, who gave Yamin and Elvis Afriankra other appointments after Brazil World Cup saga. Thank you. Good morning, finally. I want to use this platform to wish my son a happy birthday. We'll do that for you. James Poco Navrungo, we'll do all the birthday messages afterwards. Right, I thank you very much for your
Johnny, thank you once again. So wrap up on this one for me.
Okay.
He's suggesting that the lady was not specifically referring to the economy.
You see, right, I think our friends in government are becoming too defensive and too politically wired. Yesterday, I posted this video on my social media handle, Facebook, and I wrote the question, economy, with a video, economy, and come and see them making well, that I'm politicizing the matter. But look at the way the CNN captioned it, and just read the CNN headline.
I have read it.
Yes, if he's saying that, listen, the CNN that did the interview says, economy is so bad, you need a man to take care of you. Moesha tells CNN. So who is politicizing it? No.
There is not there.
No.
So it could be.
Economy.
So it says economy. Well,
it could be referred to her economy.
No, wait. Now the video is there. We are not quoting out of context. If you listen to the video, the lady says the economy is hard and you have to do listen to the video. She says it. But you see, when I even posted that video, in fact, Bright, to be honest with you, I wasn't thinking politically. I was disgusted. I was embarrassed that somebody like her thinks that if the economy is hard, that is the way to survive. I was very, very disgusted that somebody like that we call a role model thinks that when the economy is hard, the way to survive is to become a mistress. But because our friends in government are so politically wired and so defensive, and they know the reality that indeed the economy is hard, and they promise to make it better, they think you are coming after them.
The economy grew by 8.5% in 2017.
The economy grew by
5%.
I could debate that. But how did your economy grow? How much do you pay for electricity now? How much do you pay for water? How much do you pay for petrol today? What are the prices of goods on the market? Apart from even that, just Google. I beg you, you have an Android phone here. Just Google. President Mahama, economy will grow by 8% in 2017. Google, you'll see it. He said that in 2016 and gave the reasons why the economy will grow by 8.3%. The building blocks were laid. He said that. Google, you'll see it. In 2016, President Mahama told Ghanaians that he had done the work that will make the economy grow. Apart from President Mahama, the Economic Intelligence Unit, it's a respected think tank across the world. Check their reports for 2016. They predicted this growth of 8% and actually indicated where the growth was going to come from. Investments in oil. So what has changed?
Okay.
So I'm simply saying that our friends should tone down and let's discuss Moesha well. When we say the economy is hard, it's because she said it. But I don't believe that if the economy is hard, her way of taking care of herself is what should be appropriate. Is what should be appropriate. Then again, you find some people taking offense about her comments and saying she has insulted Ghanaian women. Why? Are all the Ghanaian women mistresses?
No.
Are all the hard-working women mistresses?
No.
So why are they claiming the insult? She says she's a mistress.
So
to be a mistress...
You're talking on behalf of mistresses.
Maybe if you are a mistress, you can take offense. Okay. That's what I think. If you are a mistress and you know you are hard-working, but you are a mistress, but you are very hard-working, then you can take offense. But if you are not a mistress, I don't think...
You don't need to take offense.
I think that we just have to let our young ones understand that when they see these people on Snap and on Instagram, post all kinds of expensive lifestyles, it is not the way to go. It is not. Okay. They shouldn't use their way of getting the kind of life they are living.
I'm grateful, Sweeney. Could you just 1 minute, 30 seconds, and
very quick one. If I go to take a personal loan at an interest rate of 23% today, to pay a loan I took 2 years ago at an interest rate of 32%, the economy comparatively cannot be hard.
Okay.
The economy certainly would be doing well today.
Well,
if you predict something, it doesn't necessarily mean that
I'm sure your party people in Tamale know your economy
I'm
better.
speaking
Your party
to you, deliberate.
Your party people
was there no
prediction?
Was there no prediction in
know his
2016
economy
that
is better.
your mama would win the election? By Ben Efson. Was there no prediction?
There was a prediction by EIU.
Did he win?
That EIU that he won.
Oh, but I'm saying that predictions are not necessarily things that you can hold cast in iron. It takes the individuals. It takes the managers to be able to bring their skill to bear.
That your economy is better.
I've just given you an indices. If you can go for a personal loan at an interest rate of 23%,
those who are
and
stopping
pay
the
for a loan that
construction
you
of
took 2 years ago,
stopping the
is
construction of
deliberate
the
what he's doing. He knows that he's
all right. Gentlemen, I'm grateful for your Friday.
Construction of the gutter. They want small to
right.
you tell them the economy is good.
Mohammed Abdul Kudus is a member of the government communication team. Honorable Alhaji Suini is a member of the NDC and member of parliament for the Tamale North constituency. We are grateful you sent in your comments. It's a Friday, keep them coming. The Signal Band will be back to entertain us as we wrap up for the weekend. Stay with us right here on YouTube.